It all started several decades ago, when the planet randomly went through this bizarre mutation. Earth got swarmed by phantoms, totally forcing humanity into a mythical new era. From that point on, people started awakening classes and getting their hands on some crazy superpowers. Pretty quickly, these fighters started brawling with the monsters in some seriously heavy throwdowns. Honestly, humanity would be completely wrecked right now if it weren't for these pros carrying the team. Fast forward to today, and Blue Planet High is throwing its big awakening ceremony. This is the make or break moment where the students step up to the altar to find out their lifelong jobs. The combat teacher hits them with the classic, "This exact second will define your entire future," speech. He's really out here praying that every single kid rolls the class they've been hyping themselves up for. Enter Fang Zhou, stepping up and remembering he got Ezekade here years ago, and his time to shine has finally arrived. Hearing his name called, our MC shouts back and makes his way through a massive crowd of students. He's strutting up to the altar, looking ridiculously confident. Meanwhile, some of the girls in the back are whispering that he totally gives off major healer vibes. On the flip side, the salty guys are grumbling that looking like a pop star doesn't pay the bills in the real world. Glancing over the files, the teacher notices the kid has insane physical stats and top-tier grades. To the instructor, it makes total sense why this dude is grabbing everyone's attention. The system boots up the exact second the MC touches the crystal with his hand. His face suddenly gets lit up like a movie screen by this flashy golden light. The reaction shoots a massive beam into the sky, making all the kids think he just pulled something legendary. But hold up, the energy randomly shifts and goes completely pitch black. The whole school's vibe drops to freezing when a pillar of pure darkness totally rips through the sky. The instructor is shook, barely believing a high school kid just triggered this kind of event. A super spooky projection of a monster army pops out of the dark aura. In this epic vision, giant bone beasts are just chilling, surrounding the kid. A hot minute later, all that creepy energy just poofs away into thin air. The screen pops up and confirms the results. He rolled the Necromancer class. Looking at his own hands, he's wondering if this edgy gig is actually his job now. Out of nowhere, the haters in the courtyard start roasting him right out in the open. Lu Rengia sarcastically claps, saying all that flashy CGI was just to land the absolute weakest combat class in the game. The bully cruelly breaks it down, pointing out that these magic users suffer from a massive connection lag. He states it's literally impossible for humans to log into the underworld dimension to grind and level up. But our MC knows for a fact that his setup is basically a walking cheat code. Clenching his fist, the interface hits him with a congratulations for unlocking his unique talent. Breathing a sigh of relief, he realizes his exclusive perk just arrived several years late to the party. The system drops the news a backdoor to the underworld is officially open, cooking up a skeleton clone for him. Reading the fine print, he realizes this feature was tailor-made just for him. Fang Zhou doesn't waste a single second and orders the summon to drop in. A bony silhouette pops into his head, acting as his personal proxy on the other side. The system breaks it down, taking out mobs over there gives his actual real world body a huge buff. He instantly realizes that whole creepy realm is basically his personal, endless farming zone. He decides to put a pin in the exploration for now and calls the clone right to his side. The system hooks him up, flashing a super shiny magic circle on the ground. Flexing a highly intimidating vibe, the dark skeleton steps right out of the spell. Standing next to his new buddy, he knows for a fact this is his ultimate weapon right now. Meanwhile, the teacher calls the next student, internally mourning the kid's wasted potential. The girls keep cheering for our boy, hyping up how unbelievably cool the monster looks. Furious that his rival is stealing the spotlight, the jealous classmate refuses to respect a literal pile of bones. Being a total sneak, he remembers the summon cooldown rules and decides to wreck the creature. Doing the most coward move possible, he uses a stealth skill to launch a fast projectile. A high-speed dart shoots straight for the MC's back like a cheap shot. The skeleton's danger sense tingles instantly, and it winds up for a critical hit. Fang Zhou just stands there, totally chill as the attack gets closer. The attacker is left scratching his head when his target literally vanishes from his sight. In a blink, the monster teleports right in front of the hater. The skeleton hits him with a brutal right hook, giving him zero chance to block. The kid gets sent flying backwards in face, plants hard into the grass from the impact. Bruised on the ground, he can't wrap his head around how he got folded that easily. Groaning in pain, the defeated student tries to scrape himself off the floor. Seeing the MC walking up, he panics and starts screaming about what kind of freak monster that is. Freaking out, the attacker can't process how the summon parried his sneak attack so fast. In full panic mode, the wannabe assassin bets that a necromancer's physical defense must be absolute garbage. He sprints with everything he's got, trying to land a lucky strike while he has the chance. Gripping a shiny blade, he leaps in, totally going for the elimination. With zero chill, our magic user catches the dude's blade using his bare hands. Feeling his arm stuck in a vice grip, Lurengia totally loses it and squeals in terror. Glowing with a green aura, the MC lets him know he way overestimated his own stats. The kid claps the hater with a crushing punch, taking full advantage of the wide, open guard. The bully gets yeeted across the training field by the sheer force of the hit. The whole student body gasps as the dude hits the dirt like a sack of potatoes. The coward is left snoozing on the lawn, totally battered and completely out cold. Finding this whole drama super boring, Fang Zhou turns his back and decides to bounce. The teacher jogs over because of the noise, asks what went down, and gets the scoop on the failed sneak attack. The crowd is totally mind blown over how the weak physical wizard theory crashed and burned just now. The attacker wakes up salty and swears he'll get his payback on the MC. While that's brewing, the school goes back to its regular schedule after the crazy morning commotion. Fang Zhou decides to boot up the system to keep grinding, while he's chilling alone in an empty hallway. The screen pops up, saying it's the perfect time to test drive the Underworld experience. He notes that absorbing mobs buffs his stats, but wonders if the grind will actually be that easy. After getting a pop-up warning about the insane risks of the zone, the kid hits start on the simulation anyway. While the wizard reflects on waiting 18 years for this very moment, the system asks him to hold on a sec. Once the fast travel is ready, he just clicks approve without a second thought. Right on cue, the teleport kicks in while a heavy green light wraps around him. The scenery completely glitches into a ruined wasteland, covered in scattered bones. The dark landscape shows some seriously sketchy beasts roaming around in the distance. The guy checks his summon stat menu while checking out his own skeleton clone. He spots a built-in passive perk called Skeletal Armament. He quickly connects the dots, realizing this is probably the exact trick the monster used during the schoolyard brawl. He decides to craft a weapon before running into any aggro mobs, just to play it safe. A massive two-headed wolf suddenly spawns, growling like an absolute unit. Looking totally unhinged, the beast charges at our fighter at full speed. Going full savage mode, the creature pins its prey to the ground without giving him a frame to block. Fang Zhou realizes this server is no joke, actually getting jump, scared by how fast the dash was. The skeleton's arm bones start cracking under the heavy pressure of the tackle. The beast pins down the opponent's leg to stop him from kiting away, making things way worse. The MC decides to switch up his game plan instantly after seeing his avatar getting bodied. The summon wins up for a counter-attack, capitalizing on a tiny opening in the mob's defense. The punch lands perfectly on the wild beast's snout with some heavy impact. However, the necromancer notices the beast barely took any real damage from the hit. Getting tossed backward by the monster, he realizes driving a body made of bones is super clunky. The guy figures out that, right now, his weapon is literally just a bunch of sticks. The two-headed wolf gets ready for its ultimate move after smelling weakness. Right then, the wizard pops his skeletal armament skill and funnels raw power into his hand. The clone swings a heavy strike with his brand new spear to send the enemy to the lobby. The animal tries to trade blows after getting caught off guard by the heavy offense. But the canine actually manages to sink its sharp teeth right into the skeleton's limb. The kid coughs up a bit of redback in the real world, feeling the exact same pain as his busted summon. Wiping his mouth, he realizes the damage he takes over there gets Bluetooth cinched right to his real body. The guy decides to just bunga his way through since the enemy is also an undead mob. The avatar goes full rage mode, its eyes glowing with this crazy bright blue light. The monster flexes its dark boss energy, grabbing the beast right by the neck. New bone blades instantly shoot out of his back, triggering the skill's second phase. Leaving zero room to dodge, the spikes tear right through the wild animal. The fighter completely shreds the wolf in one brutal motion, making a total mess on the floor. The undead stands up looking like a total boss over the dropped loot after that savage win. With the beast's body just laying there, the whole area goes dead silent. Fang Zhou smiles, realizing this skill totally outshines his expectations. A weird blue flame suddenly starts floating up from the remains. The skeleton steps closer, totally hyped and hypnotized by the glow. The guy is kinda weirded out by the insane hunger taking over his clone's brain. The fighter grabs the fire like a snack to level up, just following the system's tutorial. The creature totally gulps down the blue aura in one bite, zero hesitation. Right after, the screen pops a notification saying his core base stats just leveled up. Checking his new buff, the wizard realizes this is the actual point of the armament skill. The UI explains that soul juice is the currency used to upgrade gear and skills. Putting two and two together, he finally gets how his secret hack works. The whole loop of this dimension is super basic, just farm the low-level mobs, eat souls, and get buffed. The MC gets totally hyped by the discovery, realizing farming is his only real job here. With that in mind, the kid figures he can just infinitely scale his stats in this forgotten graveyard. Wandering the dark desert, the avatar quickly spots another mob roaming the map. The scan shows it's a super squishy minion, and the weak spot on its fragile body is its own flame. The minion rushes in, but he uses his new spear to take the enemy out with one clean poke. He clears out a bunch of enemies and gets a speed buff, going on an absolute tear. His bone armor gets tankier and more lethal with every single mob he drops. The kid feels his power spiking like crazy from sucking up all that non-stop XP. Standing still in a pile of mob drops, the guy casually says it's still not enough. Cut to the outside of the high school in the afternoon, bringing us back to the real world. The exhausted kid gets totally scared in the hallway by a girl from his class. He notices her standing there, even though he's totally out of breath from the heavy grinding. The girl freaks out over how he looks and asks why he's looking so roughed up. She tries to calm her classmate down, telling him that rolling a weak class is no excuse to go hurting himself. The necromancer decides he better play it cool from now on, seeing how she totally misread the situation. He smoothly lies, brushing it off as just some random little scratch. The school bell rings super loud, cutting their chat short in the courtyard. The student warns him that meditation class is starting and tells him they need to hustle back. But the MC starts coughing to hide the pain, making the girl want to drag him to the nurse's office. While playing the "I'm fine" card, he gets a system warning that hanging out in the other dimension is draining his stamina. Right then, the student realizes something he hadn't noticed at all yet. To his absolute shock, his real-life physical stats actually got buffed outside the VR world too. Checking out the shiny menu, he focuses on his chance to inspect his bone summon. The guy optimistically wonders if he can craft some unique spells and actually keep up with the top tiers. The school day rolls on inside the Heijing high buildings. The teacher claps her hands, asking everyone in the room to pay attention. The magic user introduces herself as Shen Hongyu, the teacher running the meditation boot camp. Breaking down the syllabus, the teacher asks them to flex their skills with a basic meditation drill. She drops the fact that every single class needs this stuff, since it basically expands your mana pool. The woman chills the students out as she walks around, saying noob mistakes are totally normal and even try-hards take time to learn. Just then Fangzhou glances at his system, which asks if he wants to download the skeletal meditation method. The kid hits accept on the glowing screen without skipping a beat. A bright green light instantly washes over his face, giving him a massive jolt. During the download, the dark energy basically merges the wizard's face with his summon's vibe. The MC is totally mind-blown that he mastered the skill literally the second the progress bar hit 100%. Reading the patch notes, he gets that the trick boosts your spirit just by picturing a skeleton in your head. Thinking it over, the kid realizes it's insanely easy. He just has to look at his own avatar in the parallel world. He quickly figures out the clone will just grind all day long if he doesn't log into the dead realm. Getting a ping about his stat boost, the student decides it's time to log back into the graveyard. The necromancer closes his eyes in class and instantly boots up his run in the dark world. The bone clone wakes up in the shadow realm, flashing its neon blue eyes. The brawler speedruns a wild beast and scores some sweet defense and soul upgrades. Hyped about the loot, the monster signals it's ready to go farming again. Out of nowhere, the UI pings that a skill hit max mastery and is ready to be evolved. The MC realizes he can upgrade his summon spell and decides to do it right from the Underworld menu. The skeleton queues up the skill and hits start on the upgrade instantly. A massive green fireball spawns in the air while the system calculates the RNG. The glowing screen unlocks the bone dart spell the second the crafting succeeds. Gripping his brand new weapon, the creature realizes the piercing attack fits his playstyle perfectly. The guy is totally amazed at the combo, since he basically just unlocked a whole skill tree. The clone gets a little spooked realizing he'll need to farm a crazy amount of souls to keep scaling. The minion leaps towards some fresh aggro mobs to test drive the new spell. Projectiles rain down from above, absolutely melting the targets on the ground in a savage combo. Sticking the landing, the creature notes that this attack hits way harder than his old kit. The undead scoops up the loot but notices the XP drops have gotten way smaller. Reading the prompt, he realizes the game is basically telling him to move to higher level zones. Trudging through the dark desert, the fighter decides to just farm the trash mobs before going after the big bone essence. A super sarcastic laugh totally ruins the silence in the room as we cut back to class. A salty classmate taps the MC on the shoulder just to troll him. The kid asks why the wizard is just sitting there AFK while everyone else is actually trying to meditate. The guy loudly announces to the whole room that the necromancer is basically too locked out to even meditate right. The bully acts all high and mighty, saying such a trash tier class obviously has buggy mental stats. The teacher tells the kid to keep trying, but the annoying guy doubles down, saying he's lagging the whole class. The hater points at the student Lu Renjia literally spawning fire in his hands to flex his progress. The rival who got humiliated earlier is feeling way too cocky, thinking the MC finally sees the massive gap in their levels. Fang Zhou just hits him with a super chill reply, saying that leveling pace is basically mid. The troll gets triggered by the comeback and yells that the wizard shouldn't talk trash if he can't even meditate. A colossal green aura randomly explodes behind the necromancer, totally spooking the loudmouth. The instructor is shook by the raw power and orders the kid to focus up immediately. The guy looks at the teacher and asks her to get this annoying noob out of his face. The magic user holds his ground and announces he's about to drop his own skill showcase. Watching this go down, the rest of the class literally can't believe he even passed the tutorial stage. Right then, the MC triggers the skeletal meditation hack and lets his massive energy out. A dark pillar of power shoots through the room, leaving the whole class completely speechless. The two bullies start sweating bullets, totally terrified after feeling that boss-level pressure. Shen Hongyu is stunned, highly doubting he pulled off those numbers on day one. With his summons hologram glowing behind him, the kid figures he's already miles ahead of your average try-hard. Right after, a bearded dude walks into the room, literally clapping for the kid's insane stats. The combat instructor walks up to the guy and drops the news about a big exam tomorrow. The jealous classmate starts whining, panicking that he still hasn't figured out meditation enough to fight. On the flip side, Lu Renji is super pumped, practically begging to see the weak wizard flop in a real PvP match. Jumping back to the Dead Realm, the Red Graveyard exploration is going full throttle. The clone scans the sketchy area like a hawk, crunching over the bones on the floor. The kid notices his server time in the creepy dimension went way up after buffing his meditation. Sprinting across the sand, the creature says he needs to farm more beasts before his stamina hits 0. The summon literally slices an enemy right down the middle with 0 chill, begging for more drops. The brawler completely styling on another enemy with a wildly aggressive combo. Feeling the shockwave hit the dirt, the undead yells that he can clear even more mobs. The minion is totally raging on the battlefield, gripping his weapon like a madman. Standing still among the drops, the clone realizes his mana bar is basically empty. Just then, the UI pops up saying his class hit level 2, handing the skeleton a fresh power spike. The kid jumps on the chance and clicks the upgrade button on the screen. A massive beam of green light surrounds the creature, instantly patching in the power buff. The monster feels a totally new vibe in his bones as he checks out his own stats. The wizard is hyped reading the new patch notes, realizing he unlocked a passive just by leveling up. The text explains that the spell's critical damage scales directly with the user's mastery level. The warrior is super stoked, realizing this spell will make his infinite grinding way faster. Suddenly, the screen goes dark and the clone starts lagging, totally losing his balance. The MC drops to his knees out of breath and realizes he completely drained his MP. The camera cuts back to reality, zooming in on Heijinghai's massive sports field. Fang Zhou is sitting on the bleachers complaining about a headache, realizing his mana is still totally fried. The girl from class notices he looks cooked and asks what's up, but the wizard plays it cool to keep his UI a secret. Over in the same zone, the class is gossiping that the necromancer build is garbage, convinced the kid only has raw stats and 0 actual skills. The girl isn't having it and asks why the blonde kid is always hating on the MC, but the wimp defends himself, saying he's just speaking facts. Fang Zhou gets totally fed up with the disrespect, walks right up to the troll, and straight up asks if he wants to get clapped again. Acting all tough, the hater spawns a light blade in his hand and warns that he unlocked a spell, saying he only needs 1 hit to win. The combat teacher yells from across the field, telling the kids to knock off the PvP before things get messy. The coach lectures the class, saying the school teaches them to pack up monsters, not each other, making the bully instantly back down. The teacher looks at the necromancer and mentions he saw his crazy flex in meditation class, telling him to bring that same energy to the exam. Reading the coach's vibe, the kid gets the feeling the guy is actually trying to back him up. The teacher speeds things up and calls the whole class to group up in the center of the field. Instantly, the guy signals the staff to roll the testing gear right into the open space. The students are completely blown away seeing this giant piece of tech get parked right in front of them. The coach introduces the machine, explaining it's a beginner golem custom, built to scan their attack and defense stats. The mechanical core is totally based on an abyss mob, rocking exactly 100 points in both attack and defense. One kid raises his hand, sweating a bit, and asks if they might accidentally break the machine during the test. The coach chuckles at that and drops the fact that no noob has ever managed to total one of these bots. To hype the kids up, the teacher promises to drop 20 of his own personal contribution points to anyone who can actually smash the golem with pure damage. Thinking it over, Fang Zhou remembers those points are basically the premium currency for buying fresh gear and spells in this world. The class gets totally hyped over the bounty and lines up, while the teacher says the basic classes are up first. The first kid steps up, charging his mana to spawn fireballs in his hands, The guy chunks his fire spell at the metal dummy, hitting it with a really solid blast. The scoreboard only flashes 48, totally bumming the kid out. But the coach just tells him to hit the training room. Right after, another brawler slams the bot with a heavy slash, clocking in at 41 points. From the back, a girl snipes the target with a petrification arrow, hitting a clean 50 points on the board. Once the basic roster finishes, the teacher announces it's time for the rare builds to step into the ring. The normal students are salty they couldn't even break 60 points, and are super nosy to see what the elite classes can pull off. Watching the queue, the MC thinks about how his damage comes from the skeleton and wonders if the system will stack the combo hits. The cowardly classmate sees him thinking, assumes he's shook, and claims the necromancer's hesitation just proves his class is trash. Desperate for clout, the hater struts into the testing zone, bragging he'll show everyone the massive stat gap between them. The kid pops his Phantom Assassin's skill to slash the metal bot, ringing up 80 points on the screen. Acting super smug, the troll flexes his score, claiming that's what a top-tier combat class actually looks like. The teacher totally ignores the flex, checks his clipboard, and calls up the student E-fan for the next run. The red-haired kid just strolls up to the bot while the whole class whispers about his mythical demon hunter build. The prodigy gets into a stance, flares his aura, and spawns this totally wick-looking curved blade. The warrior glares at the target, grips his weapon super tight, and cues up his heavy strike. Using his crazy dash speed, he launches a savage revenge attack, landing a perfect hit on the dummy. But the score only hits 65, leaving the rest of the class super confused by the low starter numbers. But hold up, the show isn't over, and the kid with glowing green eyes warns them the attack has a part 2. The warrior spins mid-air like crazy and unleashes a brutal combo of slashes on the robot. The machine's scoreboard glitches out from the massive DPS, instantly maxing out at 100 points. The teacher is totally blown by the kid's talent and calls out the flawless score for everyone to hear. After watching the whole test play out, Fang Zhou realizes combo hits totally stack, and now he's 100% sure he's gonna absolutely wreck that machine.